Welcome back, everyone, to another segment of The MCR. Mac and me. My name's TJ, and in this segment, um, just kind of want to touch on some of the responses, the conduct that the Democrats have put on display ever since Trump's address to what do they call it? His address to the joint session or whatever
Yeah,
it was
it's
termed.
not technically a State of the Union. I think
Yeah,
he had to be in office for a year before that
yeah.
becomes the case.
Wasn't exactly a State of the Union, but it was an address to Congress. Okay, and everyone's heard by now the antics of Representative Al Green standing up and shaking his cane at Trump, really not even letting him start. You know,
Yeah.
just even inhibiting the beginning of Trump's speech with, standing there and he's shaking his cane. And he looked like a weak old, feeble old man the way he was shaking his cane. I thought, uh,
Well, I saw it referred by a number of uh, black folks as a pimp stick, as they were calling it.
yeah, yeah, that would be a good description. And of course, you had some people walking out with the back on with on the back of their shirts saying "resist" or something. And I
Well,
thought,
let's talk about that for a second. What is it they're resisting?
common sense,
They're
common
resisting.
sense.
They're resisting keeping grown men out of women's sports that injure women. In one MMA situation, a woman literally had her skull cracked. This girl that they had as a guest got her face smashed in by a volleyball, and it goes on and on. And
You know,
they want men, and here maybe we should just give them what they want.
you know,
Just put girls out there on the high school football field and let them get killed. Would that make them happy?
they want to resist uh, the waitress getting taxed or not getting taxed on
Well,
her on the tips, and because her hourly wage is kind of figured on what the expected tip's going to be. So a waitress doesn't even make really the minimum wage. It's almost like they have their
right.
own minimum wage
Yeah,
based off of expected tipping, which is
there's
then
a
taxed.
there's an
You
eatery
know,
near me where they get paid $5 an hour, which is
and
barely, it buys you a gallon of gas, but not much more.
I'm not always successful, but a lot of times when if I do go to a restaurant, I try to, and I'm not always successful because I don't always have the singles, but I almost it's to the point now where I'll say I'll say to the waitress, I'll say, uh, here's your tip. I didn't want it to show on the receipt as if a petty form of tax revolt. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right,
I mean that's how I kind of convey that message to even the waitress. You know,
right.
I don't know. It's like my petty form of rebellion too. But and anyways, in referencing this, I came across John Fetterman, and don't let John Fetterman fool you, or don't. The guy's saying what he thinks wants to be heard because he's up for reelection. Okay,
Right.
but 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 unfortunately, what he says is, there's truth to it. And what I mean by that is he came out, he put out on X, and I'm gonna say the one part of the sentence because in some regard it's pointless to reference the entire post, but in his post on X, he said we're the Democrat Party, we're becoming the metaphorical car alarm that nobody pays attention to, and I got to tell you, there's some truth to that.
I think so. And their approval rating is down to 21%.
Oh yeah, and
21%. And you know what? What do? They double down.
that yeah, they what they sure do, and I'd like to follow that up with Mark Halperin, political commentator, no friend to the right, no MAGA supporter by any means. He referenced an email that he had received, and at least in the article I read, he did not identify the author. So I don't know if this was a friend, an acquaintance, a work associate, but he says he was referencing an email that he had gotten from a lifelong Democrat who was no MAGA supporter, but after the conduct, and it kind of started with Trump's speech last week, and then like you said, then they doubled down. Okay, he got this email sent from this lifelong Democrat saying, you know what, I just can't be a party to this anymore. You know, as much as this person disliked Trump, and that's not the first time. I remember in the past watching certain podcasts and everything, and I've seen some like this lesbian activist saying how she was pushed to the right because she didn't get into the LBGTQAEIOU stuff, you know? So,
Right.
so you got center left people pushed to the right because they don't want to be a party to the obscene left, I'll say, you know?
Going to them doubling down, when they did the vote to censure, 9 Democrats, and I don't know who they were, but I have a feeling they're probably on the hot seat in their district, and that's why they voted to censure. But they all voted to not to censure him, to say his behavior was perfectly fine and justified, and then they stood in the well and sang, "We shall overcome."
Well, you talk about doubling down. The one of the favorites we like to make fun of, Jasmine Crockett. She's making statements, and I'm going to paraphrase because I don't have the entire quote here. But she was saying how Republicans want to put them, we'll just say her demographic group, since she's a black female. But she says how the Republicans want to put them back in the field picking cotton.
Yeah, I know that's what I want. Yeah, it's all I think about all day long is how can I get the black people to be slaves?
Yeah.
Lady, get a grip.
And there's an example of your comment of them doubling down, and I got another example of them doubling down. They had an oversight committee last week involving the sanctuary cities. I know Boston, the mayor of Boston was there, the mayor of New York was there. There was 2 other cities there, and I don't know offhand. Give me 60 seconds, I can figure it out. But there were 4 cities there, and of course the Republican representatives were taking these 4 mayors to task. At some point, Democrat Representative Melanie Stansbury, Democrat from New Mexico, went into a rant referring to the oversight committee as, and I'm going to give you the PG version since I kind of like to watch the language, bovine excrement, except she said BS. Okay.
Right.
So
they like to swear now.
Yep. Yeah. Because that emphasizes the point and the extent of their rage.
Well, not just that, but then they sound like they sound like the hood rats they're trying to appeal to.
Exactly. I'm going to end with this last little tidbit here, and then whatever final comments you might have, Mac. Towards the end of the week, and this is comical. This is really comical. It's easily found online. But if you put in the choose your fighter, okay, choose your fighter, and it's a very short video, 20 to 25 seconds long, and it's got Democrat women, AOC, Lauren Underwood from Illinois, Catherine Clark, I think from I want to say Massachusetts, maybe, Judy Chu from Texas, and Susie Lee from Nevada. Okay, all these Democrat women are getting into boxing poses, and they're doing this like they're shadow boxing. Okay, and of course the title of the video is "Choose Your Fighter." Okay, well, Trump sees this idiocy because it looks comical. None of them look intimidating in any way. So Trump comes out with his version of choose your fighter. Starts off with him, then J.D. Vance, Pete Hegseth. It has a picture of Pam Bondi, Marco Rubio, Tom Homan, Kash Patel. And at some point toward the end, there's a stunning picture of Kristi Noem sporting a cowboy hat. And I thought that was so cool. I'll tell you what, she was just stunning in sporting the cowboy hat toward the end of toward the end of the Republican Choose Your Fighter video response to the Democrats' childishness. And one last thought, and we're supposed to reason with this cabal. We're supposed to compromise, reach across the aisle, and this has become a bona fide mental disorder in everything that they've resorted to. It's just you know what?
They're like a child that's not getting their own way, and they are having a tantrum. And yeah, it is. It's derangement. It's the literal definition of being deranged.
And I would say, going back to last week, it started with his speech, and then by your definition, which is 100% accurate, they just doubled down and kept digging. Yeah. And it's just they're off the deep end. They can't be reasoned with. You know what? Don't even waste your time. Don't waste your energy.
I can't listen to them anymore. They're just. Why would I want to go listen to crazy people?
And the only thing that really gives me hope, slightly off topic here, but this gives me hope, is I've heard from a couple different sources now, the demographic group of 18 to 35-year-olds, the support of Trump is approaching 60%, and that is just, if accurate, that is just phenomenal. That the young people, but and I was talking to a subscriber, a friend of ours, and I said, you know what? I'm not really surprised with the 60% because these young people, they can't buy a nice car, they can't buy a nice house, they can't hardly live.
They can't participate in the American dream that illegal immigrants are enjoying.
Yeah, and they're saying that this could be the first generation that fails to experience the financial success of their parents. I'm saying a little bit differently, but for whatever reason, they're just financially and economically, the cards are stacked against them, we'll say. So, and you know what? They're tired of it. So, like I said, 60% for that young people, young age group, 18 to 35, I think it was. So that's all I got. Any final thoughts you might have there, Matt?
No, we've gone long enough, I think, on this one.
All right. Okay. That's it for this one. And we'll catch you in the next segment. As always, be safe, watch your six, and don't tread on me.